What is the Labour Rights Index? The Labour Rights Index is a wide-ranging assessment of labour market regulations. Early 2021, it covers 115 countries. The Labour Rights Index has 10 indicators and 46 subtopics. All indicators and criteria are based on the Decent Work Agenda of the United Nations and grounded in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 5 conventions of the United Nations, 5 declarations, 35 conventions and 4 recommendations, all issued by the International Labour Organization. How are the questions scored? The Labour Rights Index gives overall scores for 115 countries based on 10 indicators and 46 subtopics. The scores for each of the 10 indicators consist of the unweighted average of the questions under that indicator and measuring the result to 100. Assumptions behind the Labour Rights Index are: the worker is skilled and gets at least a minimum wage. The worker lives in the most populous region of the country and is a lawful citizen or a legal immigrant. The worker is employed full-time, has a permanent contract and works in an enterprise with at least 60 employees. The worker has experience of at least 1 year on the job and is registered with the Social Security institution long enough to be entitled to monetary benefits. The worker is entitled to maternity, paternity and parental leave, to sickness leave and to annual leave. Features of the Labour Rights Index are: all assumptions of the index are standardized. It covers the most populous province or state or area of the country. It uses the codified labour legislation. Its focus is on the formal economy. No weights and no rankings are given. How can the Labour Rights Index findings be used? National scores can be used as starting points of negotiations and reforms by civil organizations, such as social partners. Ratings can be made prerequisites for international socio-economic agreements to ensure compliance with labour standards. The Labour Rights Index can stimulate policy debate. It helps to show challenges and to identify best practices. Labour ministries may use the index to find best practices in their own country and around the world. The Labour Rights Index is also useful for workers in the informal sector to raise awareness of their basic labour rights and launch advocacy campaigns through representative organizations for access to the same or similar rights that formal workers enjoy. And the index is also useful for unemployed due to COVID-19 to increase information of their rights during the pandemic, such as the right to sickness benefit, the right to personal protective equipment, and the right to unemployment benefits. Annual updates and improvements in the Labour Rights Index. Annual updates are planned. Also, extension to cover 140 countries, 25 more than the actual 115, is planned. And new components will be included, like fair treatment of part-time workers, the labour inspection system, prohibition of worst forms of child labour, and the establishment of social dialogue at the national level. Thus far, the Labour Rights Index focuses on legislation in the private sector only. Plans are to analyse the public sector labour rights as well, especially in countries where the public sector comprises more than 10% of total employment. Curious about our work? Learn more at labourrightsindex.org.